Welcome. My name is Jenna. This is a weekly session that Vito and I host for folks in the e-commerce fraud and risk space. We get together every week to talk about trends and what you guys are working on in your queues. This is a really great place for you to come to bring any questions that you might have around things that you are dealing with in your queues, and then to also hear about, other people's stories. We bring in some guest speakers to talk about specific topics within e-commerce fraud and risk. And yeah, just to have a conversation and connect with others in the space. You might hear something where you might want to follow up with someone and be like, hey, you were talking about this one thing. I'd love to hear a little bit more because I'm working on it as well. This is a really great place to connect with others and ask more questions. And yeah, so if you're able to be on camera with us, we love it. We love when people are able to be on camera with us and see your beautiful smiling faces. If not, that's totally fine. You can hang back and just listen in. And then a heads up too that we do record these sessions for folks who are not able to make it at this time every week. And we share these recordings out. So just a heads up there as you're sharing. And then also please do introduce yourself in the chat, whether you've been with us before or this is the first time. Just give a quick hi, where you're calling from, your company, maybe your role, so people have an idea of who they're chatting with in the room. Well, thanks. And I will hand things over to Vito.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We made it. We made it. Almost, kind of getting there. I don't know. It's so good to see you. And as Jenna mentioned, we got some new names in here. One of my favorite songs, a little song called Radar Love. We've got a thing, and it's called Radar Love by Golden Earring. And we have Carrie Golden on the call today. Carrie, how are you?
That's so 70s. Yes, I'm good. How are y'all?
I'm better now. Carrie, where are you calling from?
Austin, Texas.
Well, look at that. I'm all the way up here, maybe in Amarillo. Don't dox me up in the Panhandle.
Are you
And we're going
Amarillo?
to, yeah, I'm up here in the
Really? Potter
Golden
County?
Spread. Potter County, right on the border between Potter and Randall, and Deaf Smith to the north, one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
Look at that. Carrie, we have a lot to talk about. And you know what? Everybody else can leave. Carrie and I are going to talk about the Panhandle and Hartford and Dumas and all that.
Yes.
Just kidding. Carrie, welcome. Please feel free to jump in, interrupt anytime. We've all got thick skin here. At least I do. I don't want to talk about anyone else's skin. I have so much to talk with you about today. I think we all have a lot to talk about today. My good friend Jared kind of threw the gauntlet down this morning, and I love it. And I love picking up that gauntlet. Jared, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
And you're looking great. So there you go. Jared threw the gauntlet down. Say drop the ball, but that's the opposite of what he threw the gauntlet down on the Slack today. In the Slack, I don't know what words are. And if you're not in the Slack, come on in. It's free. It's fun. There's a lot of cool stuff going around. This is a QR code. You take a picture of it and it does the whole thing. You've survived COVID. You remember these things. So please feel free to jump in. Carrie, especially, you're new here. Come on into the Slack channel. It's a great place where a lot of up-to-the-minute stuff is shared that helps everybody out, I think. And you got some really brilliant people in there who are not named Vito. Trust me, you want less of me, more of this crew. I got some news for you before I dive in, okay? We're talking about coffee that is as dark as a moonless night, as dark as midnight on a moonless night. That's what the old Agent Dale Cooper said. Some damn fine coffee. I went 2 weeks without the stuff, but baby, I'm back. I don't know how you can do it. I have some friends here whose name rhyme with Jenna who are drinking decaf today as well. And I was just talking to her 15 minutes. I don't know why I thought to do this, but I'm back. I'm so happy to be back. I feel like the last few fraudcasts, while I was trying to come off the bean here, might have been a little flat, but no more, my friends, no more. And with that being said, as a testament to being back in the caffeinated world, and Jared said, would love to hear what's keeping everyone busy and caffeinated this season. I'd love to hear just how you're doing, what's going on, if you're seeing, new types of attacks, the same old, same old. Shelly was sharing with us a little bit earlier that you saw him, you got him, you came, you saw, you conquered. I'd expect nothing less from Shelly. How are we doing? The floor is yours. I've drank all my coffee and it is past noon for me. And you don't want me staying up till 3 a.m. So I'm going to take a sip of my water while I hear from Emma, how are you? Matthew, what's going on? John, great to see you, brother. It's been a minute. What's going on? The great John Fastline, great to see you. Peter, what's up? Preston, holding it down for Hollywood's Ben Lee today. Preston, how are you? Becca, Julie, Riley, Taylor, Paula, Lynn, Colina, Carrie, Matt, Angela. What's been going on? Floor is yours, my friends.
If no one wants to talk through anything, we're definitely seeing a spike in this behavior, which is, it's not new to us. It's probably new to the fraud team actually seeing it, where you're getting access to an account, either through accessing the account or they're getting access to their email. So they're getting order information and then they're talking customer care into appeasing to first changing the email address in the order to theirs. So they're hijacking a good customer's order history, changing the email address on the order, and then saying that the item did not arrive through a separate contact. So they'll hang up with customer care after they change the email address. They'll immediately contact back in and then request a refund to EGC to this now bad email address. With the help of Signified, we added a few new attributes to figure out how to block it, but they were getting us pretty good for a few months there. So that popped up over the last couple of months.
I hate to hear it, but we are simpatico, my brother, because that's everything that I had prepared today about that kind of illicit takeover. Curious, when they call back, different number? Is that the deal? Just like a different phone line they're calling on, or same number, just making it a second kind of situation?
Sometimes they'll do it through chat. Sometimes they'll do it via email, or they will do it by phone. And haven't really looked into if they're switching up phone numbers. It's obviously not the same phone number that's on the account, but that's also tough to kind of key into to say accept, decline. We try and keep the decision making away from our frontline customer care agents as much as possible because there's 500, 600, 700 of them, and it's hard to train that many agents to do this extra research when they're already doing 50 things. So we were really trying to key in on back end signals. So we actually were able to key on whenever the email address that's being refunded to is different from the original order email, plus it's a refund to EGC. So we were able to find some attributes that we didn't have to rely on front end customer care agents. We could just write a rule in Decision Center to kind of be off of that and block that behavior.
Love to hear that kind of mitigation is going down. And now I'm going to do a little like Captain America, put our rings together, like team mount up. Like, what do you say to John in this situation? Have you been there before? Have you felt this before? Have you had to deal with illicit refunders before, especially those who are kind of making a pain in the butt for your customer support teams? I know you have, and we'd love to hear from you. And John deserves all of us mounting up here. So floor is everyone's. Let's pile on John. What do you got, y'all?
Well, we had something similar with that about a year ago or so. We were having a problem with we'd get a chargeback, and when we go and look at the order, we'd find out that they placed the order, and then they would call back probably about a week later, claiming they didn't get the product, have a replacement shipped to a completely different address, and then you get a chargeback for the first order. So not only do you lose the original products, you lose the replacements products, and you get and then you also have the chargeback as well. So what we ended up having to do is that we actually had to put a policy in place for replacements, that if they were shipping it outside of the state, that they actually had to contact the fraud team first to verify whether it was okay to release the package. So making an extra layer so that we and since then, we really haven't had any that have fit that particular scenario. So it's the thing that's weird is customer service wants to be, okay, well, you didn't get it, but on a logical level, it doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, you shipped it to New Jersey, you call back a week later, you didn't get the product. Now I want it shipped to Nevada. That doesn't make any sense.
Did you trace it to illicit takeover of the initial account? Or was it just kind of a like stolen payment instrument?
New fake accounts that have been created.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're simpatico, my friends. Yes, someone said something. Shelly. No, Gary.
What did he say it was?
It was like new accounts that had been created, and oftentimes they were fraudulent accounts in the first place. And so what they would do is they'd create the account, they'd place the order on the account, and then about a week later, they'd call claiming they didn't get the product.
Right.
And then they'd go and say, well, this is a better address to ship it to, and come to find out that it's actually shipping it, halfway across the country, which doesn't make any sense for someone who claims they didn't get a package. You might want to ship to your work, which would be in the same city, or maybe even like a few, maybe 20, 30 miles away, but you're not going to want it shipping to another state 4-hour drive. You're not going to go 4-hour drive to pick up a package.
Mhm.
At least I hope most people don't work that far away from their residence, but
Oh, you should see my commute, man. It's brutal. Real quick, Shelly, I want to hear from you, but our friend Justin Hicken, who couldn't be here today, who's a disgusting Dodgers fan. They stole Edwin Diaz from the Mets, and now he's just texting me all these memes to rub it in. Love the guy, though. I think about what Justin used to say to us. This is a low-value customer, right? They just created an account. They've got no lifetime spend with us and everything like that. So maybe the appeasement in this situation is less of sending a product and more of giving a gift card back to the store, because then it's like, well, what do I do with that? I really want the product defense. Was appeasement kind of talked about there in terms of like a selective approach instead of giving them exactly what they wanted? Or was it just like, hey, we're going to...
A lot of times the customer service was wanting to basically take care of the customer and do what they asked, when it didn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like, okay, well, maybe if you're in New York City, I might accept a replacement to Eastern New Jersey or Connecticut, but I'm not going to think that a replacement being shipped to Texas is going to be a justified.
There's no flow of why. Now, it could be an unusual situation where they're moving somewhere, but normally there's not like when you go to buy a product, there's a natural organic flow of making the purchase or change. And that would be extremely unusual to change the address and the email.
Right.
Because most people have the same email forever. Well, okay, so here's one that's kind of crazy. It's a corporate direction. So Hyatt has Hyatt branded hotels, and then they have Hyatt private label hotels that are not franchisees, but they're independent properties that are branded by Hyatt and marketed by Hyatt. So this property is a luxury hotel, newly onboarded with Hyatt. So they have a thing called a spirit code, and that's their property ID. And everything at Hyatt has you have to put in a ticket, you have to have a code number and be recognized as that person to put a ticket in. So the hotel gets a call, and they get a call at the night operator. So this is like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And the guy says, hey, we need to go in and update some records. We have a couple of refunds that we need to run. And the guy's like, well, okay, but yeah, I'm not sure. Brandon's not here. And they go, oh, the manager's not here. Well, we've already sent Brandon a couple of emails. So they knew the manager's name, and they created this sense of, we know what we're doing. We're Hyatt, and we're coming in to do this action. So the guy lets him go in, and they let him into the computer, and then he refunds 2 Discover card transactions for $4.99 each. So now, as you know, if you run a refund, you cannot charge that card because you have no authorization to charge. It's a hidden, tucked away rule. So you can refund a card unmatched. And this is what's crazy. It was an unmatched refund. It actually went through. It should have it was never used for a purchase in the first place. So the Hyatt system let them in, but the bank let the transaction go through. They should have stripped it out. And then the merchant lost the $1,000. This happened to over 400 Hyatt hotels.
So they're just paying themselves.
Hyatt came in and put in a new security software. And yeah, is that crazy? That many hotel, that much flexibility in the system allowed that. And Hyatt paid for all of the software implementation for the correction.
I, Carrie, I was going to say it feels crazy, but then I see the smiling face of my friend Ryan McDonald here, and I feel like he'll be the first person to tell you that this is like par for the course with the kind of the antipathy that we hold toward one another in this weird world of ours. Carrie, if we sum it up, basically people are calling the hotel, Hyatt hotels, and saying like, "Hey, I'm with corporate. I know the manager. I need a refund on this card." And they're like, "Okay."
I need you to let me remote into your system, and they're doing it.
Bad.
Very
But
bad.
like at the end, I mean, it's hard though, because I mean, there could be a million reasons, and I hate saying this to be that guy, but I totally will. People are gonna people. And like I've said probably too many times on here, that opportunistic bug, when you catch it, is so dangerous, and especially if you're on the consumer end of things and you're looking, especially with the holidays. I just talked to someone about payment skipping, for example, because of their circumstances, to have more fluff and cushion. So it's like, it's just interesting why people will do this. But at the same time, I think the organization is responsible for setting a basic SOP and making sure that, hey, are you equipped to handle another person? Not this technology, not these questions, but are you equipped to handle another person and the emotional strings that they will pull to try and get you to bend to their will?
Especially in hospitality. Shelley, what do you think about this?
Hey, that was the best segue ever, Vito, for hospitality. So, life before fraud for Shelley. I was food and beverage. So I ran restaurants at a small mom and pop place called Walt Disney World. Not sure if anybody's heard of it. Very few people, very few customers. Anyway, I ran the private dining, which is the fancy word for room service. I don't know if I've told everybody this before, at one of our major hotels. And we're talking 3,000 rooms. Well, all of our deluxe hotels have room service, all of them. We started, and it's incredibly difficult to get the external number to call in to room service. Like, we literally don't publish it anywhere. You have to try real hard. And we started getting phone calls, not just to ours, but like to 6 or 7 other deluxe resorts, from an external number saying they were calling from the front desk, which we have a caller ID that tells us it's not, saying that they had somebody call down, and they placed a room service order, but they couldn't get through on their line by calling us back. And they just needed to know what room that was so they could contact them. What they were trying to do was get the person's last name and room number to then get the system to go in and get credit card information. And it was a month, and we probably crossed like 7 or 8 hotels of the deluxe ones that had the higher end room service. I don't know, 300 to 400 calls. And thankfully we had well-trained staff, the people. And they were like, "Yeah, we'd be more than happy to get that information for you, but unfortunately, you're going to need to come to our office to get it." "Oh, well, I can't get down there. It's through 2 doors and 50 feet away. Can't get down." So using those things are like, okay, yeah, no, something's weird. And so thankfully all of it, I don't think any hotel had any information released, but as soon as we got the call, somebody was like, "Something's not right." And we blasted all of our peers across all the other resorts saying, "Hey, something's going on. Make sure you're monitoring incoming calls and protecting our guests' information." But yeah, they're going to come in and they're going to sound like they know what's going on. And it's our job to read between the lines, listen for the weird things that don't sound right.
And we all have a hospitality arm of our companies, really,
Oh, yeah.
in customer support and customer success, even in the fraud world. We want to do right for people. So these kind of deals are so pressing for us to think about in terms of how we can be played, when to push back. Carrie, are you calling on behalf, not on behalf of, but do you represent the hotels, or are you just like?
I work with different clients. I do a lot of consulting, and I work with, usually nobody has an easy problem. They have hard problems to solve. Whether it's the thing I know is I know the payment networks, and I know underwriting and risk. So there's all kind of, and you guys are all advanced users. I was so excited when I accidentally happened on this podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best, because it's quite geeky and it's very deep diving into what happens first and then next and then next, and all of the kind of things that average credit card people don't have a clue this stuff exists. But this is the stuff that happens every day. And if you, as a processor in underwriting, as a merchant, are not aware of it, and you're processing lots of velocity transactions or volume, can easily get sideswiped for lots of millions of dollars. And so, so I'm super interested in it because I love payments. I just love the payment process. And the fact that you can send a transaction and there's no way it can jump tracks. So it can do a lot of things, but it can't do that. And so, so I work with a lot of clients, and this is just a one situation where, and I get all kind of fraud stuff come across my desk, all kind of crazy fraud stuff. I mean, the scams they're running right now are unbelievable, and they look so legit. And they're picking like small towns in Texas, you know, where like, you know, hey Joe, what's going on? Yeah, can you send me over a couple of bales of hay? Yeah, right. Okay, what time you need that? And they're doing that kind of thing where like I have a fuel supply people, and these guys through jobbers, this sequence of jobber things, are ordering barrels of oil, custom layered oil that no one but very specific people can use. And they get very upset on the phone, like they're in a big hurry for you to get this transaction done for them. Then they send a jobber out, and that guy, he just getting paid for the load, you know, 18-wheeler, all kind of stuff like that. So mine is multiple verticals as opposed to like working directly for one company, one vertical. And
Well, I
so-
think you found your flock here, Carrie, and what you've
I
said.
know.
Yeah. Welcome to the
awesome.
weird house here. I'm so, you've done my heart good, and a little like a round of applause for Carrie for taking the leap to join our freak show. But I mean, I'm the only freak here. You're surrounded by the best in the business, Carrie. The best, some of the greatest minds I've ever met. I'm just the person who like Jenna is the conductor. I don't know what I bring the hot dogs around and the beer, I guess. That's kind of like my job here. So welcome, Carrie. We love your stories. Bring us the weird stuff all the time, and you will hear even weirder things. And I think we're really like pushing on something that is so important and so universal. The sense of urgency and taking advantage of people's emotions, especially when people are emotionally drained, like during holiday season, like during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, when people are like, I only took 3 days off this year. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what, just approve, accept, like, get me off the phone. There's leftover carrot cake in the fridge, and there's a lot of stuff to watch, and I just want to put that carrot cake in my mouth. And I guess I'm just telling you all these things that go through my head. And I'm sorry, but yes, you're in the right place. How's everybody else doing? Enough about me.
I wanted to piggyback off of Jared's initial thing, but also Preston. I have had the same thing happen where people call and change orders, but it wasn't refunds. They would call and change the delivery address for a Peloton bike, and they'd change it from the original delivery address in like Sacramento, California, saying, oh, sorry, I need to make a last minute change from a bike that's going to be delivered 3 days after I ordered it. I'm moving to New York and I need it delivered to New York. Excuse your face. Stop that. So that was about a year ago, and it was an identity fraud case that we were able to nip in the bud. But yes, so you think it's bad when it's just a package. We're literally hand delivering something to somebody's house, and they call and they're like, I ordered this thing 3 days ago and I didn't know I was moving, and I now need it delivered to my new home on the other side of the United States.
That'd be a case where I'd say, let's cancel the order. You can place it again, go to the correct address.
And that's exactly what we ended up starting to do. But we had to train people to not create an order and change the address. Anyway, so Jared, I was going to say one of the things that I've been going through and looking at some of the orders on the high end of my side from Black Friday through Cyber Monday is I saw a major influx in orders coming from the QQ.com. email. And that was real fun to start digging into. And not only am I getting a ton of these, but they all got through the fraud filters. And I can't figure out how when I'm going through the back end of the information going, you're delivering to Flushing, which is great, but you're pinging off of some place in, I don't know, Beijing. And the payment is coming from there. How on earth? So I'm working with Shopify engineers to figure out how they're getting through. But now the fun game begins because I'm starting to see the chargebacks come through on them, saying that they're not, but their chargebacks are across the board. They're not saying it's fraud or they didn't receive the product. Half of them are saying that the subscription was canceled when they ordered apparel. Well, that's an easy win. I can prove that you didn't have a subscription. Very, very strange and connected to very specific Lululemon items that we sell on our website. And there are these Lululemon Wonder Puff jackets and vests that are like $400 and they were 50% off. And I had one lady order 16 of them,
Different sizes.
all different sizes.
Hell hath no fury like athleisure, and the fact that it is absolutely universal, and that everyone does yoga and everyone likes a little. I think about my brother Ryan. We've all ate a little too much over the holidays, and we like a little spandex to get a little Eddie Murphy on you. Shelly, questions for you. Bin cards from outside the U.S. or a mixture of U.S. and non-U.S. bin cards?
Mixture.
Yep. New accounts, aged accounts, both?
Almost all new. I had a couple that had a few previous orders that are able to connect, but not much. And one of them actually, it was a QQ, and I've actually been communicating with them. They haven't created a fraud claim or any chargebacks, but they didn't receive one of the items. And I was able to validate that through the weight of the packages. So that was cool. And I did absolutely refund that. And they haven't come back at all with any other chargebacks. And they placed 4 or 5 different orders for a lot of these Wonder Puff things and then a couple other things. But yeah, so far that one's been good. But yeah, very kind of mixed bag.
Airport way, or were they going to houses? Was it like the traditional reshipper addresses or like mule addresses?
They're mule addresses. They looked like businesses. So almost all of them I'm looking at, and they were going to like a corporate office of some kind in like Nebraska. And I'm like, okay.
Big yoga scene. Ryan, I stepped on your words there, please.
No, you're good. Shelly, I wanted to pick your brain. Give me the crash course on the importance of package weight, because it takes me to a story that's going to crack you up. My older brother, when we were younger kids, this was when Dyson vacuums first came out. For whatever reason, he wanted one because the ball rotation, there's just something about that, just absolutely had to have it. So this was my
when he was dreaming about this Dyson vacuum. I think this is a really important context.
Oh, I want to say he was like 15, 16, like right when they first came out. And I've never
really hoping for.
I've never seen the man successfully vacuum. So there was already a little concern and red flag on my end. So I'm like, what's going on here? So this was my first exposure to insider fraud via my mother. And she, a clever woman at this time, she identified the weight of the Dyson. She went and got a box from someone, and she filled it with things to equate to the weight, wrapped it in a gift as my brother, and then put something small inside of it. And he was expecting a Dyson, opened it up, opened the box. There's like 2 pieces of wood and a sweatshirt or something, like something. Oh, yeah. Oh, it was so good. And I'm just sitting there traumatized, but curious, like, how the hell did you make that work? And it just reminded me of the weight of the package. He told me, he's like, when I picked up the box, it felt like a vacuum was in here.
I 100% your mother is my hero. I love her. Please give her. She's outstanding. When my mother was little, she'd asked for a saddle because she was a horseback rider, and she was convinced that this box that contained her father hid in her closet. She was convinced it was the saddle. It was not the saddle. It was a vacuum. So there's my connection for vacuum. It was a vacuum for my grandmother. And on Christmas Day, my mother was distraught because she also did not get the saddle at all. But She was also living in Southern California, not on a ranch. So
To Vito's point, hell hath no fury like a parent's cynical love.
yeah.
I turned 21 in prison doing life without parole. No one to steer me right, but mama tried. It sounds like mama tried in both of these scenarios. And Shelly, it sounds like you are on the hot seat, which is very much a cool throne for you because we have questions coming in from our good friend Matthew. Shelly, have you seen the 163s, the 126 in addition to the QQ? I'm thinking you have.
I actually have not. I'll have to go back through and go through my list because the list is long. But of the higher end dollar amounts, I'm not seeing any of those, which is strange because I thought I would.
So here's the fun part with all of those. One of the biggest fraud attempted attacks that I saw at one of the biggest places on earth, we'll just leave it at that, was for Apple AirPods over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all coming off 163, 126, QQ, etc. It's just like the logic that you use with reshippers, right? Not all 163 or QQ or not all are bad. So it's a really nice place to hide behind. It speaks to the need or the want of these products overseas. And, you know, there's bad apples in that bunch, just like any other bunch. It's just so easy to hide in those .com domains, especially when it's not like completely gibberish, you know? So it's a really nice trick they've got. I can go into the need for different ways of thinking about these, but I'm loving the conversation we've got going on here. Matthew, feel free to jump in as well if you've got any other questions. I mean, I just called you out. And also I want to say hi. And I hope that you had a great holidays because last we talked, you had the whole fam coming over and you had a bunch of stuff and you're here. So it looks like we got past that.
Yeah. Thank you, Vito. I survived. Everything went okay. And I still am in good graces with the family. So yeah, everything went okay.
Well, glad to see you here. And then we've got one from Jared. Again, Shelly, hot seat. Very much cooler one for you with that cool shirt on. Jared asks, Shelly, what info do you send for sub not canceled? For some reason, banks always seem to side with the cardholder, even if there was no subscription. Brother Jared, I invite you to jump on in. And you've got the great Emma Linane coming in with best in class stuff here in terms of putting screenshots in. Floor is yours, my friends.
I have two things. So one, for this specific one, since it was actually through our apparel website, I printed off, I did a print screen of their order on the back end, showing what it was with pictures of it. And then I sent the copies of the emails that they received of the order with the order numbers showing, hey, this is for 2 jackets and a shirt. These are apparel items. None of these are subscription based. As you can see, this is the only order they've ever had. They didn't have to sign up for a subscription within this. So I'm hoping that wins. Also pointing out that we do not sell subscriptions on this platform. So that's that. But on the other side, we have gotten really good on the just general dispute side of winning more subscription canceled through some, honestly, some advice that we got from JP Morgan, because we met with their disputes teams, and Amex. We actually have a higher than industry standard win rate with Amex disputes, which is 30% higher than industry standard, which I'm blown away by. But a couple things that they recommended was with subscriptions, you have to put in the full terms and conditions, but instead put that in, but make the first page kind of like an affidavit from your legal team that highlights what the product is, how they pay it, what they agree to, and how they do it. That has been a game changer because it's helping these people who are going through these 40-page disputes in 4.5 seconds say, this is what the product is, this is how they signed up for it, this is how they cancel. And the very next page is how they cancel it. They have all of the screenshots of showing it. And we've seen a big increase in subscription not canceled wins with just those little pieces and pointing things out.
Did everyone's brains just evolve? Because mine just did. I mean, am I the only one here? Is it the caffeine or is it Shelly? Tell me.
Could be the caffeine, Vito. Could be the caffeine.
Jared, what do you think about that? And everyone, what do you think about that? Phil Spears says future fraudcast topic here. Yes, Shelly, you just signed yourself up. I hate to break it to you, but we're going all the way in on that. Jared, Emma, what do you think about that too, Emma? Because I've learned a lot from Emma about fighting these kind of funky chargebacks. Please pile on.
I completely agree with what Shelly was saying, and that's what we do as well. I have like documents, like one big folder where like here's all the standard attachments that you should use when you're disputing each of the chargebacks. And so for something like subscription not canceled, we have like screenshots of our terms and conditions page, but like literally putting a red box around like here's the specific terms and conditions. Then we'll get like specific like dynamic screenshots from Full Story of like here's where the customer clicked and understood and checked the box to say I want this. And then like the biggest ones for us is like we send out like 30-day and 3-day reminders of like, hey, your subscription's coming, here's how you can cancel if you don't want this. So just being super transparent ahead of time, like policy wise, and not being too scared of churn, like just following the rules and being transparent with the customers is the way forward. So we've also had good win rates with the subscription not canceled, specifically by showing everywhere on our website where we've said like this is how you cancel if you don't want to do this anymore. And it works pretty well.
Yeah, we are still scared of churn, so they
Makes
won't
sense.
do that. But okay, fine, whatever. But the red boxes, holy cow! When we were talking to the Amex team, and they built a thing, they said one of the things I want to tell you is how clear your evidence is. These red boxes with little things out here that explain what is inside the red box is a game changer. She goes, it just makes it easy. I'm like, oh, so makes it. Felt so good about that.
I just always picture like there's someone just reading through this really boring document. I mean, like it's not really fun to everyone else. So like
Yeah.
make it fun. I'll throw in some stickers, throw in some emojis, throw in like I like perfectly have like a standard of like how we name each document that we put in the thing. Like, you know, if it's customer communication, like that's what the document should be called. So like whoever at Visa or Amex is reading this, like, they know why. So yeah, the red boxes is the way to go. Little like
Yeah.
speech bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the
And
other
like
thing, Bob.
to feed off of this really quick, we had one recently where we won all the disputes and they decided to take us to small claims court. Guess what we're using as evidence in small claims court?
Nice.
And the lawyers looked at these and they're like, well, we don't need to do any more extra documents. This is perfect. Thank you so much. We're ready for litigation.
We set up the chargeback responses like a legal document. So we label them big letters in the upper corner, and then we recap it at the top. So initial order, and specifically with one client that gets a lot of chargebacks, their product is only something that person can use because it's tied to their business. So the only person that benefits from it is their business. And they're like, fraud, we don't know what this is. And I'm like, you're a beneficial owner of the company. You're the only person that benefits from this purchase. And so then, and we don't do the red outline, but the pages are kind of like that. So C1 is, you know, the chargeback 1 page is the evidence. So compelling, recap the scenario, put all the chargeback information in there. Page 1, there, in this particular instance, the client uses remote signature capture online. So we show the screenshot of the signature. We show all of the places where they agreed with 4 red arrows going agree, agree, agree to the price, to the terms, to the product, to the payment method, to the timing of the payment, and won 98% of the chargebacks.
A round of applause for that number there.
So it's only because they're not buying something, they're not buying Lululemon. If they're buying Lululemon, it'd be a different scenario because it's a generic product that could be sold on eBay. But this product is only connected to tied to their business license. It's their license renewals and their registrations and their EINs and that kind of thing. And people are like, yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, sorry, you're listed on your and this is the URL. I mean, the IP address is within 500 yards of your physical address listed at the state.
But Carrie, it was my kid. My kid was on my phone just renewing my license and like doing my registration for me. Can't you help me?
Yeah, well, but the problem is when the client, the business spends the money, ships the product. So they're out that physical asset or the expense for it. And that's what you have to recover.
Oreo, he's not here to hurt you. Be a good boy.
Preston might be being attacked by a cat right now, Carrie. So I think we need to help out. We got a cat attack going on. Shield your eyes, those of you who do not want to see the feline horrors that are going on. Okay, we'll keep abreast of this. We've got it live here. Preston, you look all right. I mean, looks like you survived that right there. We saw a horrific kind of tiger or lion king. What was it? Not Lion King, Tiger King, right? That was the guy, Joe Hollywood, right? Joe Exotic. There it is. You all right, Preston? He might have took Preston. The cat got Preston's tongue, I think, here. Wild Preston.
Yeah, basically, one thing that we've dealt with is that, and I'm probably sure it's a bit of a frustration for some other people, is when I keep bringing up stuff like, for example, that we need to have somewhere where they check the box that they agree to the terms and conditions for the cancellation policy, the shipping policy, or when they do a subscription, that we need to have some way to have verification that they agreed to the terms. And unfortunately, because of that, we get a lot of pushback from programmers. It's like, it's not a high priority. And as a result, it's like, if I get a subscription where they basically say that they canceled, I basically don't have a leg to stand on to say that they didn't.
Change your audience. Don't go to engineering. Go to legal. Legal will want legally binding terms. I get way more wins going to my legal team and going to my member relations team that controls member communications and stuff like that than I do from anybody in the engineering platform, because they think everything is other things are bigger fires than this little check the box. But if legal deems it as, oh, we need this for legal reasons to confirm they did this, and make sure your presentation, Susie School of Communication, make sure your presentation hits them the way they want to hear it. Hey, we don't have anything to legally prove that they agreed to the terms and conditions. How do we get that? And so then that's a way to approach it with legal, because legal will be like, oh, well, that's a problem. And then we can go through those routes. I've gotten so many things changed very quickly because legal jumps on board, and they are louder than anybody in the room.
Preston, I see a smile on your face, man. Is that you got a little inspiration?
That and the fact that we just have to make sure that we have some way of verifying account history, which we're running into.
Well, are you in your gateway? This is a recurring billing scenario?
Yeah, if it's a recurring billing scenario, the fun one is that the fun issue that we deal with is the fact that on the backside, once you cancel a subscription, you have no record of when it was canceled, when it was set up, any type of agreement that was done to it. And so until they make those type of fixes to keep track of the subscription history, I don't have a leg to stand on. If they claim that they canceled on such and such a date, I don't have a record that they did, but I don't have a record that they didn't.
Are you using 3DS at all? Because with
No, they don't. There's a lot of pushback in the thing that's weird is New Skin, because it is it's sold by distributors. And so we have distributors, we have customers. It makes things very complex because they can say, well, I told my distributor to cancel.
Yeah, but see, with 3DS,
as if they're doing us as a member of the company. But we've also, because they want things to be simple for ordering purposes, we get pushback when we want to push things like 3DS. It's like it's not a priority.
are your cancellations, are they coming through as chargebacks? And that's the issue. Okay. Because see, with 3DS, if your gateway will pass it, 3DS will pass the network transaction ID, which then when they go to charge back and say like, yeah, I didn't do this or I didn't authorize my first recurring billing, the bank has the original record right there. So when they call the chargeback department, it says, well, or like, I don't remember who it is. They go, well, your original transaction was on this date. And then you send, it comes in, it says it's a recurring transaction. It should guarantee the first transaction. They shouldn't be able to charge back. They have to tell them, you have to contact the merchant in order to cancel this. And they won't charge it back. That's what the issuing bank gets. This is behind the scenes information. That's a benefit of BDS. Is anybody using that?
I will have to bring that up with my manager. I'll have to bring that up with Ben and see what we can figure out.
But it has to make sure now, like if you're using the NMI gateway, no, you're not going to get it because they don't pass it. It doesn't tie back to the second transaction within it. They don't have the ability to send it. You have to have the right gateway to send it.
Okay.
We will do a whole talk on 3DS. There's so much about that, especially regionally in Europe and then over here in the States. Antiquated / perhaps real ideas around friction and what people have the appetite for and not. And I am a fan of orchestration. When do we introduce 3DS, right? When do we do this? It's not like a one size fits all kind of thing. But Carrie, you have made your mark today. Shout out, Carrie, for the new Preston. We're so happy you survived the cat attack that we just saw. And for all of you, Shelly, Jared, Marcy, Emma, Matthew, Phil, Peter, I'm going to give the last word to my friend Peter Glenn. Peter, I saw you chime in. You were talking a little bit, and I saw you come off mute, but then there was a cat attack and, things kind of went here nor there. So Peter, how did you feel about this conversation? And would love to know what you're thinking, my man.
This was good. I have all kinds of other weird challenges because we're in the re-commerce space to add more fun to it. So all of my fraud has been people sending me fake cables and things. So yeah.
Like extension cords when they say it's like an XLR, like something wild.
Well, when you sell $10,000 cables, it adds up very, very quickly.
Well,
so yeah. I could give you guys some horrible, $150,000 freight forwarder orders and stuff like that. It's very, very high dollars. So it's kind of wild.
And this floor is eternally yours. And as Ellie says, I agree with my good friend Ellie, host of The Digital Edge. If you can find her on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasts are sold. Re-commerce as a future topic is brilliant. 3DS as a future topic is brilliant. Peter, we want to hear more from you. I am also being a bad boy right now. I've kept y'all almost 10 minutes after here. Y'all, if you need a note for your boss, feel free to find me. But on behalf of all of us here, this has been one of my favorites. This has truly been a blast. Jen and I have been at this now for over a year, and it never ceases to amaze me. I have a lot to share with you about the stuff I put together. I've got like 12 slides, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to put it in the Slack. We're selling the Slack channel here. You see how I do that, right? I'm going to put it in the Slack. Take a look at what I've come up with. There's definitely some room for improvement if you're just thinking about those single signals, the bin country, maybe the domain. There's some places we can play there, and I look forward to conversation. But until next week, which is our last Fraudcast of 2025, which has a very special guest star of our own, Emma Lanane. It's going to be a beauty. It's going to be a blast. Bring the eggnog, have fun. This has just been so much fun for me. So I'll see you in Slack. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. I hope you can get through all of this without the ennui of, can I just go on vacation already? When is this going to be done? But when I know this group right here, this group is a group that comes out to play and comes out to fight. I salute you. I look up to you. I cherish you more than you'll ever know. And on that, I wish you a sweet adieu, my friends. Until next week, have a beautiful one. Thank you so much for coming out.